Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 18th, 2022 meeting of the Joliet City Council. Mayor Bob Odekirk presiding. I'm sorry, we will be led with the invocation by Pastor Lloyd Evans from the Messiah Lutheran Church, 41 Hobolt Road. Then he will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's bow our heads. God of truth, enlighten this gathered group now as they meet together so that each of them can have a clear understanding of the issues needed to be discussed. Give clarity on the purpose for this meeting and the objectives that should be accomplished here. May these objectives sharpen the focus of those present, and may they bond us together with one common goal. May these objectives drive everyone to actively participate and listen intently. May this meeting be productive. May the desired outcome be achieved, and above all, may it be honoring to you. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Begin with roll call. Mayor Odekirk.
Here.
Councilman Clement.
Here.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Here.
Councilman Guerrero.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Mudrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Here.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Here.
First on the agenda this evening is a proclamation declaring October 24th, 2022 as United Nations Day.
Proclamation. Whereas the world continues to seek the road of peace and international cooperation through the United Nations, whereas the United Nations is a unique organization of independent countries that have voluntarily joined together to work for world peace and economic and social progress, and is the foremost organization in the world working for women's rights and the advancement of women. Whereas the United States' support of and leadership in the United Nations is essential to successfully achieving the goals and objectives of the world's organizations. Whereas all citizens of the United States and throughout the world are encouraged to observe the birthday of the United Nations on October 24th, 2022. Now, therefore, I, Robert Odekirk, Mayor of the City of Joliet, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, do hereby proclaim October 24th, 2022 as United Nations Day in the City of Joliet, Illinois, in recognition of the commitment of the United Nations, Zonta International, and the Zonta Club of Joliet to the advancement of the status of women internationally, nationally, and in the Joliet area. Thank you.
I have just a couple of things to say very quickly. Coming Monday on the 24th is UN Day. And as was mentioned, it's the birthday of the UN. The UN Charter was signed shortly after the close of the Second World War. The theme for this year internationally is nourishing peace. And the UN is interested in looking at how food security is linked with peace. And we all can see this in different parts of the world today where peace is lacking in Somalia and Afghanistan, places like that. Food security is so important. Okay, a bit about the Zonta Club. Our Zonta Club, and my colleagues and I are here today, is made up of professional women. The one in Joliet is quite small compared to the 61 countries in which Zonta is active. There are Zonta clubs in 61 countries. There's more than 30,000 members, but we're very proud of our activities here in the Joliet area. On the local level, we deal with scholarships. Maybe you've heard of the Luna Fest, the Take Back the Night activity, which is coming next week. And then internationally, this is where our link with the UN comes in. Because throughout the world, we have international service projects that the UN implements and coordinates. For example, UNICEF, which you've heard about, United Nations Fund for Children. We work with UNICEF in South America, in Peru, in Africa, in Madagascar, and with another agency, UNFPA, UN Fund for Population Activities. We're dealing not only with health and education, but also activities to try to prevent violence against women, especially in Papua New Guinea, which is #1 in the degree of violence against women internationally. We also have a program in ending child marriage throughout the world in 12 different countries. So we're talking about more than $1 million going to each of these activities internationally. On our local level, just to conclude, we are also helping a women's educational center in Afghanistan. You've probably heard about the problems that Afghan women and men are encountering there with the rule of the Taliban, and girls have been prevented from going to secondary education throughout the country. So we're helping a private school, which is then dealing with the girls who can't go to the public school, and we are really proud of the activities we're doing there. So that, in a context, is the UN activities with Zonta. And thank you so much. We're really pleased to be here tonight.
Thank you.
Next is the approval of the agenda. We did receive a request from the petitioner to withdraw Council Memo 520-22 from the agenda. 520-22 is the denial of a Class B liquor license at 1399 Plainfield Road, El Dorado Banquet Hall. So is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the removal of Council Memo 520-22?
I have a question there.
Yes,
Why is it being removed?
I think the petitioner has to remove it. Oh, he's here.
Very briefly, John Parlow on behalf of Mr. Robles. We appreciated the opportunity to talk to you and present last night. We heard the concerns and the issues raised by everyone, including Councilwoman Quillman, and it's our intention to take some additional time for some additional community engagement, have community meetings, and then come back to you after we've done so with further input from the community and present once again. That's why we're asking to withdraw the petition this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So is there a motion to approve the agenda as written with the removal of Council Memo 520-22?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin? Aye. Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is citizens to be heard on agenda items. First is Mark Griglione regarding Council Memo 523-22. Mark here?
Good evening, Mayor Odekirk and members of the City Council. My name is Mark Griglione, and I'm the President of the Board of Education of Troy School District 30C. I appear before you this evening to address the school district's concerns with the large increase in the number of apartment units proposed for the Rock Run Crossing development. When this development in the TIF district were presented to the community in early 2020, we were told that there would be approximately 260 apartment units. All of these units would be in the TIF district, so none of the EAV the units would be taxable to the school district, with all the property tax revenue flowing to the city. We recently learned that the apartment development will increase by 500 units, basically tripling the number of apartments to 760. The massive increase in the scope of this project is going to have an adverse impact on the Troy School District. First, we are expecting a large increase in enrollment from students living in these apartment buildings. The Board of Education and Administration have worked hard to maintain small class sizes and low student-teacher ratio. That effort has been tested with COVID, but we've been able to maintain it, and the Troy community appreciates what we have done. An influx of potentially hundreds of students to our current facilities at all grade levels, K through 8, will upset the community's expectations for what the school district provides. The city has provided very little information to us concerning the details of the new apartments in the unit mix, timing of delivery, and price points. Absorbing these students with the virtually no information provided by the city will be difficult and draw heavily in our existing resources. That leads to my second point. District 30C is subject to the property tax extension limitation law known as the tax cap. Because the overall development is located within Rock Run Crossing TIF district and based upon the way the tax cap operates, the addition of the 760 apartments will impose a financial hardship on the taxpayers of the district. Due to the TIF district, none of the EAV nor the property tax revenue generated from the development will be available for a 23-year period. We will have to provide an educational services to the students of the development in year 1 and over the life of the TIF district, but wait 23 years for the full allotment of property tax revenue from these units. Our taxpayers, many of whom do not live in Joliet, will look at their tax bill and think they are paying more for the district when in reality, that money will be directed to the city. While the TIF Act provides a modest payment for new students coming from the development, we all know the payment is grossly inadequate and will not make the district whole or allow it to cover the cost of educating the new students. The result will be a shifting cost from the development causing the hardship on the district and the rest of the Troy 30C community. While the Board of Education fully supports economic development, it needs to be done thoughtfully with a consideration for all stakeholders in the community. We are open to working with the city on a plan that makes sense. What is currently proposed is flawed and will inflict long-term harm on District 30C. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the council tonight.
Thank you.
Kristen Cross regarding Council Memo 523-22.
Good evening, Mayor Odekirk and the Joliet City Council. My name is Kristen Cross, Board of Education, Troy 30C, and Secretary for the Board in a leadership role. I am here this evening representing my constituents and my children in the Troy 30C School District, and to express my wholehearted opposition to the residential 760 apartments which has been proposed for the Rock Run Crossing project. I am deeply concerned that instead of being a responsible governmental partner and in keeping with good government protocols, the City of Joliet will proceed with letting this residential project move forward without as much as a buy or leave. A little backstory. This TIF was brought to the Board of Education several years ago with 260 residential units, and we opposed it then because of the impact on our school district. Now the plan is to put 500 more of residential units there, and the plan is unconscionable. That the district would have to suck up 760 residential units is no skin off the City of Joliet, but our taxpayers in Troy 30C will pay a deep price, and our children's education will suffer for this for 23 years. A lot of extra children will be attending school, and we do not have the resources to provide it without painful choices that would undoubtedly cut to the quick and be felt for nearly a quarter of a century. Things I associate with the Rock Run Crossing project. I talk about it as a boondoggle. I talk about it as a bait and switch, what was presented to us. Millions of dollars already spent with not a lot of interest in the location, disregard for any intergovernmental input, and no transparency regarding the project either by the developer or the City of Joliet. My job is protecting my kids and the taxpayers of the district. I wonder if the City of Joliet and the developer of this project would contribute to building a new school or additions on the heritage trails, WBO or TMS, so the burden of this project is not on the backs of our children, not on the backs of our Troy, our hardworking Troy families, and not on the backs of our staff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Nate Washburn regarding Council Memo 524-22.
Good evening, Mayor Odekirk, members of the City Council. I'm Nate Washburn with KGG LLC here in Joliet. I'm the attorney for two applicants. The applicant for Memo 524-22, which is 227 Airport Drive, as well as Memo 530-22, the First Amendment to an Annexation Agreement. The special use permit for 524-22, I'm here to answer any questions the council might have and would otherwise ask for a vote of approval this evening. And for 530-22, the applicant has requested a table to allow us more time to get community input and work with staff on the actual annexation agreement amendment.
What was the second number?
530-22. It's the First Amendment to the annexation agreement for Richard Street.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on an agenda item? Seeing none, we'll move on to appointments. Tonight, the mayor is recommending the following reappointments to the Plan Commission: Robert Perez, John Kella, Jeff Crompton, Jason Cox, Mark Rusinellis, and Bridget Rare. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin. Aye. Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Motion carried. Also tonight, the mayor is recommending the following reappointment to the Zoning Board of Appeals: Bridget Rare. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin. Aye. Motion carried. Next is council committee reports. First is Economic Development Committee report.
Thank you. The Economic Development Committee met Thursday, October 13th, 2022, at 3:35 here in the council chambers. Present was myself and Councilman Terry Morris. We had city staff, Jane Bernhard, city planner, Erica Ruggiero, City Center Partnership, Priscilla Cordero, and our Economic Development Director, Cesar Suarez, and other department or City of Joliet members. There was no citizens, well, we approved the September 14, 2021 Economic Development Committee meeting. It's been a while since we had one, so it was good to meet. We had no citizens to be heard on any agenda items. I don't believe anybody was here. And then under new or old business, we had the award of contract for McGuire, Gillespie and Associates for Phase 3 of the Downtown Joliet National Register of Historic District project. This is Phase 3. We already completed Phase 1 and 2. Staff was requesting the Economic Development Committee recommend approval of the contract with said associates and for the Phase 3 Downtown Register. There is $6,380 that was already earmarked. The council did approve this back a while back, and this is just to complete the project. So we're just gonna approve the $6,380. So, Terry, I don't know if we had anything else to add to that?
No, sir.
Anybody else? So that was it. There was no new or old business, I don't believe, and there was no public comment, and then we adjourned. So that's my report.
Next is the Finance Committee report.
The Finance Committee met in council chambers today at 5:30. Present was myself, Councilman Clement, and Councilwoman Reardon. Nobody speaking for public comment. First on our agenda was a resolution adding JP Morgan Chase as a financial depository through a ladder of U.S. Treasury notes. and that was approved unanimously, which will be seen on tonight's agenda as Council Memo 532. Financial reports, we are coming in at 75% of the fiscal year, continuing to experience increases through all the categories, with a few exceptions. Fines and fees, auto rental tax, and amusement taxes were the only place where we didn't quite see any increases. State sales are lower than they were in the previous fiscal year, 2021, as a result of the reversal of last year's accruals. 2022 reversal was roughly $750,000 more than it was in 2021, and we anticipate that we should probably recover from this as the year closes, and we close out the finances for the year. Current increases are positive, although we are expecting things to slow down in the following fiscal year of 2023. We should anticipate some leveling it early in the year and prepare for any possible decreases as inflation continues throughout the country. In September, we did receive a $5.8 million contribution, which was required as part of the agreement with Compass Business Park. So that's we'll see an entry there for 5.8 million, a little bit, atypical to see an increase in that number, but that's from the Compass Business Park. General fund expense, personnel services are on pace with our budget, and we are taking into account the multi-year retroactive payments from the contract with the 440 union, which we adopted earlier this year. Other services are above budget because of increased property, casualty, and liability insurance premiums. Water and sewer revenues are trending 7.3% higher from last year as a result of the planned rate increases, and there are no surprises and sort of operating according to historical trends. Let's see if there was anything else. Travel expenses are light, as was to be expected. For our personnel report, we have 14 open positions, including 5 managerial positions, which of course will be opening up to hiring within house before opening those to the public. As far as new or old business goes, Councilman Clement brought up the point of the need for increased evidence review as a result of FOIA requests for body cam footage. We kind of hesitated to move forward with any recommendation for action as we're awaiting for our yearly budget to come in at the beginning of November. So that should be taken into account for personnel expenses. I don't think there was anything else.
Well done.
Next is Land Use and Legislative Committee report.
Yes, the Land Use and Legislative Committee, we met on Thursday, October the 13th here in the council chamber. The committee, myself, along with Councilman Clement and Councilwoman Quillman. We had a few agenda items. We had one that was tabled at our last meeting that came back, was an ordinance that was approved to the full council with the recommendation of approving it, was the amending chapter 6 of section 22 of the code of ordinance for regarding dogs running at large. We had tabled it so we can get someone from the Joliet Animal Control. I always want to say Cruelty Society and Joliet Animal Control, and they were here at our meeting, and they answered the questions that was needed, and that was approved to the full council. So that should be coming before us at our next meeting. Also, we had another agenda item with the CDBG reallocation to the St. John Joliet survey. In the amount of $500 will be reallocated from the CDBG funds to St. John to complete this project. This, I guess, been ongoing for a couple of years now. I know it was a couple setbacks with COVID and some other issues, I believe, that held that up. But it was approved with some conditions. I remember what, I'm trying to read my notes. I think with the conditions that it'll be done by next year, February the 8th. That sound right?
Does, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then
I
also,
think for a minute myself, because I don't have my notes in front of me either.
yeah, sometimes I can't read my own writing. We also was presented amendment agenda item for honorary street name for a Lieutenant George Hernandez for Collins Street between Irving and Ward Avenue. Lieutenant Hernandez was the first Hispanic Joliet police officer due to what we can tell from the application that was filed. And he had several signatures from the business and the community in support of this street naming for Lieutenant Hernandez. So of course that was approved to the full council and should be coming before us hopefully at our next meeting. Our last agenda item, which we had much discussions over the last, I would say, couple of years or so, maybe a year, the Civilian Review Board. And we was presented, our last meeting, we were asked to wait until our new chief was selected. So he had been, and he's been here with us for almost a year now. And he addressed the committee with kind of some of the policies that's already in place for some overseeing the police department, so that the committee did not move that forward to the full city council at this time. I think that's all I have. Did I miss anything?
No.
No?
Complete.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you.
Public Service Committee report.
The Public Service Committee met yesterday, October 17th, 2022, in the council chambers here at 4:30 in the afternoon. In attendance and on the committee were Councilwoman Gavin, Councilman Morris, and myself, Councilman Hugg. Under contracts, we had 4 items, relatively routine. I will point out that we did look at the contract for the sidewalk improvements at 1801 West Jefferson Street. Essentially, the sidewalks that are in front of the new redevelopment done by Tony's grocery store. I suggested that this would be the final touch for what's been a beautiful redevelopment on that corner. Anybody from Joliet that hasn't been out to that Tony's redevelopment needs to go out there. Look at how beautiful it looks from the outside. Go inside, look how beautiful the inside has been finished out, and maybe do a little shopping. So along with that contract for $183,290, there was also an item which is a budget amendment, because this was done after we had approved the budget. So we do have to make a budget amendment, and everybody knows that I'm loath to make budget amendments, but I'm 100% behind this one. It's gonna look beautiful over there. And Jefferson's really shaping up, I think we all agree, over the last 6 or 8 years. Jefferson Street corridor is really, really taking on a new look. We had 3 change orders, pay estimates, or final payments. What we had was an additional $25,000 for blended phosphate and an additional $100,000 for sodium hypochlorite. And the reason I point that out is the company that we're working with came in and saved the day for us about a year ago. Hawkins is following through with what they promised us. They're only passing on any increases that the market dictates, and would pass on a decrease. We all know with over 8% inflation and all the supply chain issues and the inflation on cost of everything from eggs to fuel, there's been no decreases recently. So these are minimal increases, but they are market related, and I do respect Hawkins for doing what they're doing. So we looked at all 3 of those items, saw those along with the contracts to be in order, and approved them unanimously to send them forward here to the full council with our recommendation that they be approved by the full council. We're doing something along the frontage road. A lot of folks don't realize on the east side of the frontage road of 55, like where the Harley Davidson dealership is and so forth, those businesses are actually in Sherwood. And it's been kind of a convoluted, complicated system where we Shorewood meters, these customers, if you will, even though Joliet supplies them the water under IGA, then they send us the numbers from the meter. Then we turn around and have to bill Shorewood. So what the new IGA says is these businesses up and down that corridor will be direct customers of Joliet, even though we're in Shorewood. So we're eliminating some confusion that's existed for years on that. Then the only other thing that I would bring up, besides the water source program update, which I'll get to the last one, is something that the city manager, Jim Caparelli, mentioned yesterday. 25 police cars, 4 public utility, public works trucks, pickup trucks, and various other departments with different vehicles that were ordered. All of them were canceled by Ford Motor Company. So we will work as a committee, and certainly with the city manager and with the director of MMD, to find another path. We don't know what that path will be yet, but we consider it urgent to solve this issue, and we'll do the best we can. But again, it was beyond our control. Ford Motor Company didn't delay them, didn't backorder them, just canceled them outright. I'm not going to preach about the supply chains and all the issues. I think everybody in this room is aware why such things are happening right now, and it's unfortunate, but we'll work through it. Then we had an alternative water source program update. Allison Swisher, the director of public utilities, gave it. I gave her the night off tonight and said she didn't have to give it because it's going to be very simple. This update shows everything that should happen, has happened. We're on schedule and no surprises, and we're moving forward smoothly with the project. I would point out that we have, I think, Allison, we currently have about 230 million in WIFIA loans that were already approved. Am I correct on that number, if I remember right?
It's 309.
Already. Okay, and the new ones they invited us, essentially like a pre-approval, but invited us to apply for is how much?
373.
So we have almost 680 million. That's the brunt, if not complete, of what the cost of this project is going to be. So that was good news, because the WIFIA loans are extremely low interest loans compared to the market rates. So we are excited by that. I don't believe we had any other updates from the water, other than to say that it is going forward as planned. As the city manager outlined yesterday, Allison and the consulting team and staff are working on the final details of the agreement with Chicago. That's beyond the cost that's already been established. That's more of the clerical details of the delivery of water details kind of things. It won't impact the cost of the project, but we want to make sure it's done right. So we're looking for approval for an extension for the finalization of that agreement. And I think this council should approve that. And I think we will approve that. That's pretty much everything we had. Did I miss anything, Betty or Terry?
Nope.
No, you did well, sir.
Okay.
Thanks.
Then that would be my report for public service, Mayor. Thank you.
I show no other reports. Moving on to consent agenda, approval of the minutes. It's recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on October 3rd, 2022 stand approved as recorded. 2023 Joliet City Council meeting schedule. It's recommended the schedule be approved. Invoices paid report. It's recommended this report be received and placed on file. Council Memo 508-22, regular payroll for May 20th through June 2nd, 2022, $7,413,416.86. Council Memo 509-22, regular payroll for June 3rd through June 16th, 2022, $3,830,872.64. Council Memo 510-22, regular payroll for June 17th through June 30th, 2022, $4,039,933.79. Council Memo 511-22, regular payroll for July 1st through July 14th, 2022, $3,992,573.61. It's recommended said regular payrolls be approved. Council Memo 512-22, award of contract to DTS for ViewWorks Asset Management Software Support and Hosting in the amount of $70,000. Council Memo 513-22, authorization to purchase and replace live scan equipment in the amount of $116,280. It's recommended Council Memos 512-22 and 513-22 be approved. Is there a motion to approve all said consent agenda items?
So move.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under licenses and permit applications, Council Memo 515-22, issuance of a Class E liquor license at 221 Ruby Street, JD's Barbecue. It's recommended this license be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 516-22, issuance of a Class C liquor license at 1107 West Jefferson Street, Unit 4, Mabuhay Filipino Market. It's recommended this license be approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 517-22, issuance of a Class B liquor license at 1534 Route 59, Frankie's Tap on 59. It's recommended this license be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 518-22, transfer of a Class C liquor license at 1521 Riverboat Center, Hampton Inn, Joliet, I-80. It's recommended the transfer of this license be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 519-22, transfer of a Class C liquor license at 3555 Mall Loop Drive, Hampton Inn, Joliet, I-55. It's recommended the transfer of this license be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 520-22 was previously removed from the agenda. Under ordinances, Council Memo 522-22, an ordinance establishing a recapture fee for connection to certain public improvements, better road improvements. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 523-22, ordinances associated with Rock Run Crossing IDI re-subdivision number 1. This includes an ordinance approving the preliminary plat and an ordinance approving the recording plat of Rock Run Crossings IDI re-subdivision number 1. It's recommended said ordinances be adopted.
Krista,
Mayor? Oh.
can you give a little explanation? I know there were comments made earlier about apartments. I don't believe this ordinance.
This is not that ordinance.
Right.
This has to do with running of right-of-ways for sewer lines and waterways, that kind of a thing. So this has nothing to do with the increase in apartments. That's not on this agenda.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Mayor.
I just wanted, as long as we're talking about Rock One, there is a meeting, a neighborhood meeting over there at Joliet Junior College tomorrow with the Cullinan Properties, and it's at 6:30. And just want to make sure that you're all aware of that. That was it.
Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 523-22, ordinances associated with Rock Run Crossings IDI re-subdivision number 1?
So moved. Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
I do have a question. You said, yes, City Manager, you said, Jim, that this is for sewer and water, but are they planning for?
Sewer, water, and some landscaping. kind of housekeeping thing, so when they run additional sewer lines through, that we'll have easements and right-of-ways, and we're settling.
But I mean,
all
is that with the apartments in mind?
I don't,
Doesn't this
I don't
pertain to the
think so.
light industrial?
That's what I
It's
want to
just
know.
yeah, it's Ecolab and the warehousing, not anything to do with that.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to
Yes.
check that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilwoman Reardon,
Aye.
Councilman Clement,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 524-22, an ordinance.
Chris, should
You missed a vote.
Oh, did you? Okay, I had a, I'm
It's
sorry.
okay, I was
thought you had
talking. No problem.
Council Memo 524-22, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow an automotive service and repair facility located at 227 Airport Drive. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 525-22, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a truck parking and maintenance facility located at 811 Rowell Avenue. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Question. When this came up yesterday, there was talk, and I know I asked our attorney about meeting with the community. That wasn't done. I guess it's not clear. Did you guys reach out and were responded to, or how exactly did that go down?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Gary Davidson, Castle Law, on behalf of the petitioner, the contract purchaser for the site in question. At the Planning and Zoning Commission, a number of citizens appeared at the meeting. The staff didn't keep records, or they didn't sign in. So I had reached out to Pastor Fears, who I knew a number of the people who had shown up for that meeting had expressed concerns. I also sent an email based on staff's giving me the email for the local Joliet Township member who also appeared and spoke. The folks that I reached out to did not return my phone calls, so we weren't able to have a meeting with anyone.
All right, thank you.
And at the meeting, Mr. Mayor, just as a point of information, none of the folks who appeared, while it's not necessarily relevant, were within the 600 feet as required. There was no one that spoke in opposition that was on that list of people we were required to notify, including the Jehovah's Witness Church.
Was there opposition at the meeting?
There was opposition at the meeting.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yes.
As long as he's here. Just for clarification, now, how many of these trucks are in your fleet that will be owned at that?
We have 15 trucks.
15, no more, no less?
We have 15 trucks and then 30 of the, what I refer to as trailers. So there's the cabs, or I think they refer to them as power units, the thing that pulls the trailers.
Okay.
There's 15 in their fleet.
Now, will they be expanding?
Of course, there could always be a potential to expand. This is a very small site. I think the site plan shows for 50 stalls, so they're going to probably be storing some of their cargo containers. But the maximum number of stalls on the site, because again, I think it's 1.5 acres or 2 acres, is 50 total stalls. But yes, certainly you could probably go up to 20 or 25 tractors potentially.
So you said also last night, for clarification, that these were registered to this particular business, and that if these folks went off the beaten path, you could find them, or you would find them?
So this is only going to service their own vehicles. There's not going to be anybody coming off I-80. There's not going to be servicing other vehicles that are just random people that are driving down I-80. And if we have any sort of notice that they're not using the designated truck route that we've provided and we included in the staff packet, then certainly disciplinary action could be taken as a practical matter, because they're going to be coming on and off I-80. While you can have a truck driver that goes the wrong way, they're going to take the fastest route to either go east or west.
So can we get that in writing, that part?
Certainly be glad to commit to that.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor.
Yes,
Yeah, and I think you also added yesterday that these 15 that your client owns, they're over the road. They're on the road right now, and they're only coming back to Rowell Avenue, this location, for service.
Yeah, this is simply a parking and maintenance facility. This is not a terminal. One of the questions that I think was raised that I should clarify is there ever going to be a truck that comes in with a load? That theoretically is possible. If they're driving somewhere and they have a maintenance issue, they're gonna stop to have service. But in general, if it's routine maintenance, they're always going to be dropping their load from a financial perspective and then coming to the site.
Your Honor, if I might, please.
yes, Betty.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Davidson, for speaking with me today and getting me clear on some points that I certainly have questions about, and I think a couple of my colleagues also. So from my understanding in our conversation, we're talking the 15 trucks that the company owns will be the only trucks that'll be serviced at that location. So, say for instance, we can't get a driver willy-nilly off of Interstate 80 and pull in for some service if they're having an issue. I thank you for that. We also talked about the size of the area and if expansion could be, and I think you made it clear to me as well as a couple of my colleagues that there's not that much room to expand.
That's correct.
And yeah, and so that's another positive point. The other thing is that the company that is looking to get there now, for lack of a better term, I would say that I'd have to take the good part of the evil as when it relates to trucks, if you know what I mean. There could be someone come in there and expand it out to where we're out of control that don't need a special service permit. So I guess that would be the lesser of the two evils for me. So I thank you again for taking that time and helping me walk through what that looks like and explain to me what I learned today from you. Thank you, sir.
Is there a motion to approve Council Memo 525-22, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow truck parking and maintenance facility located at 811 Rowell Avenue?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris?
No.
Councilman Mudrin?
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon?
Aye.
Councilman Clement?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin?
Reluctantly, aye.
Councilman Guerrero?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1.
If I can make one comment to staff, I have concerns about the size of trucks that will be driving up and down Rowell Avenue to get there. These are over-the-road trucks. So if we could tighten up the agreement, and it's gonna have to be enforced if that's an issue. Those are narrow roads. We faced that when there was a prospect of warehouses going on the country club. Mills Road, Knoll Road, the roads around there could not handle that type of truckload. I know there's not a high volume, but these are large trucks that are gonna be moved in and out. So it's something I think we have to be cognizant of moving forward.
Now, I believe this site was used for trucks previously, Mayor. So
It was dump trucks, garbage trucks, it's a different animal with the semis.
it's a little bit longer but, they should be empty when they get in there. So I think it'll be less wear and tear on the roadways you would expect. So, but yes, I understand what you're driving at.
We'll be watching.
Very closely.
Next is Council Memo 526-22, an ordinance approving the First Amendment to the preliminary agreement with respect to an anticipated water supply agreement between the City of Chicago and the City of Joliet. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin. Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 527-22, an ordinance directing revisions to the City of Joliet Utility Design and Inspection Policy Manual. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So move.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
No.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1. Under resolutions, Council Memo 529-22, a resolution authorizing approval and execution of an employment agreement for the position of city manager with James V. Caparelli, effective January 12, 2023. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So move.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 530-22, a resolution approving the First Amendment to the annexation agreement for 620 Sandal Place and 800 Richard Street. It's recommended this item be tabled.
You need a motion?
Yes, please.
So move.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to table Council Memo 530-22. Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 530-22 was tabled. Moving on to Council Memo 531-22, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with Joliet Township High School District 204 for the School Resource Officer Program. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So move.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 532-22, a resolution designating financial institutions to be used as depositories for city funds. It's recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is the city manager's report.
I already mentioned what I wanted to talk about, and I think Councilman Hug also hit on that today about the difficulties that are going to be placed upon the police department and the fire department and public utilities with the order cancellation from Ford Motor Company. In addition to that, they're not going to guarantee pricing, so we can expect to pay significantly more. They're not going to honor any governmental pricing. I've made some phone calls. I've got some responses, so we're working on it. This is a priority for us to be able to get these vehicles to our law enforcement and firefighters and public works individuals as soon as possible. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
New business not for final action or recommendation.
Joe?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we used to rent out the other half of this, chambers to bankruptcy, and I don't know if there's anybody out there that, maybe we wanna rent to, or, we wanna maybe change the room around. It's just like empty space over there. And then secondly, the, wireless, microphones that we have here, they're well past, 10 years old. They're really, they're in bad shape. They're put together with duct tape and gum and everything else. And so maybe we can, look at Jim to, maybe update our system here.
Right. I think what we'll do is we'll maybe make a budget amendment here to put some money towards getting this, get some quotes for this to update this. I know during COVID periods, we had issues with the electronics in here. So I certainly would be more than willing and more than happy to update and the electronics in here. So
If any of the council want to take a look at what we have, they're in bad shape, so, yeah. Thank you.
Betty?
Yes, I just want to thank my colleague, Councilman Clement, for bringing that up. Because it certainly needs to be kind of revamped a little bit. I know that from my vantage point, and I've been having to do a lot of virtuals, it's terrible. It is terrible, and I'm trying to keep up, and then I'm having to call my colleagues to find out what you say, so, and hearing staff as well. So thank you, Councilman Clement. I join with you in that, endeavor.
Caesar?
Just in the wake of that, I mean, thank you to our kind of technology staff you guys are trying your best. It's not your fault. We're doing the best with what you can. So that's it.
Larry?
Yeah, that's right. It's not their fault, not ideas, just we need equipment.
Yes, I don't know that I would quickly remove the bankruptcy court with the current situation economically nationwide, where it might wind up in December, January. There may be some overflow, unfortunately. With that said, Jim, how exactly does a bank? I know we have some of the larger, big name, too big to fail banks. How does some of the local banks and regional banks become a depository?
we have some. Oh, go ahead, Jim.
We have many of them as our depository, Fifth Third, UC Bank, Old National. But if they would contact me and I would bring it in front of council, and when we go to do an investment or a CD, then we would take the highest rate, of course, and look to diversify also. So if a local bank or any bank wants to be a depository, they can email me and I will bring it in front of the council.
Okay. You'll contact them if they have an interest?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I'm here.
Terry?
Nothing.
Pat?
Nothing.
Jan?
Nope.
Sherry? And one item, and you could probably help out either Mr. Caparelli or Sabrina. We received news today about one of the lawsuits involved with the North Point development, and this was the lawsuit that CenterPoint brought against the city. It was dismissed by Judge Pavich with prejudice today. Sabrina, if you could maybe just fill in the blanks a little bit and let the public know what this means regarding this issue.
So the allegation was that by passing the resolution that approved the annexation and development agreement with Eastgate, allowed them to build new roads in a certain area within the CenterPoint Business Park. The court found that that we did not breach the memorandum of understanding that we had with HRE with Hobart Road Extension, and that MOU could not restrict third parties from building new roads within that area, and therefore they dismissed the case.
Thank you. And so this is a significant step forward. It also, just to let the public know, when we talked about the closed loop, keeping the trucks off of local roads, but within their campus, this was part of it, the new roads, they have to be built within CenterPoint. So I know there were entities trying to block us from doing that, but we were successful today. We were also successful about a month and a half ago. A lawsuit was virtually completely dismissed. I think there's one count still pending. If you're familiar with that, if you could let the public know what that entailed also.
So that is currently, that is still pending. We're waiting for a ruling from Judge Jars.
Okay, on the one count.
Correct.
The first five
The first five counts have been dismissed.
And this was the lawsuit brought forward by Elwood, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So that's good news. And again, I think we can put it on our website, let our people know.
Right.
Accurate information about
this. It's significant in that it will allow us to get the infrastructure we need to support the further future growth of those distribution centers and manufacturing centers out in that area in Eastgate logistics, so that we have the infrastructure and we can keep those trucks off the local roads here and put them right onto the I-80 and get them off the local roads here. So this is a huge step for the folks of Joliet and really for the folks out in Elwood and the surrounding communities as well. So, we're glad to be able to have this victory and move forward here expeditiously to get these things rolling.
Well, it's interesting because Elwood, in our meetings, did not want the bridge near Walter Strawn that would keep the trucks off local roads, but take them from the North Point property to the Center Point property. So we moved the bridge a mile up the road, and then they sued us for that also.
That's correct.
So it's hard to tell what Elwood really wants.
So,
Mayor?
Yes.
Could I make a comment on this subject?
Yes.
I want to congratulate the entire city council for taking the high road on this issue. There were a number of people, including governmental officials, that said the city of Joliet, the city council, the staff, North Point didn't know what they were doing. Obviously, we knew what we were doing. We listen to our residents, and we focus on our residents, and we do what's best for our residents. And so nobody took the bait. Just because somebody files a lawsuit, to do a variation on what you lawyers have as a saying, you always say you can basically, a grand jury can indict a ham sandwich. Well, anymore nowadays, a ham sandwich can file a lawsuit too. It doesn't mean that it's got any legs. We do our homework. Congratulations to this council, to staff, and to the North Point staff for taking the high road on this and just getting the work done for the citizens.
Thank you. I guess one point of correction,
Yes, just one point of correction. The Village of Elwood actually did file the original complaint, but they have voluntarily dismissed themselves.
Okay, fair enough.
So the sixth count that's currently waiting for a ruling was filed by Open Lands.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for clarifying that.
Next is public comments. Alderman Pollock.
To the mayor, to the city council, to all in attendance, I'd first like to greet you with the greetings of peace be with you. Only to say that in 1931, Mahatma Gandhi said that the greatness of a nation is determined by how it treats its weakest people, the least of its people. Back last summer, Morning Star Mission was petitioning to use part of the old Briggs YMCA to help shelter the homeless. You saw them as weak and you said, oh no, we're not gonna do that. Now that this weather is upon us, and we still have many homeless out there, my question is, what are you gonna do to help them now? Because when the Morning Star Mission asked for permission to use part of that building to help the homeless, they was not asking the city for any money. They was gonna do it all themselves. But now you have homeless people out there, and it's gonna start getting freezing and below. What are you going to do to help them? I know that many of you have hearts as cold as the weather's going to be. So my words will not affect you because you just don't care. But amongst you, there are those who are right-minded and do have a sense of humanity. And that's what it's all about. Because when you go home and in the cold weather and you get in your warm bed and if it's too cool, you turn the heat up, you're okay. But think about the people that sleep on the streets when it gets cold. What are you going to do to help them? Where is your humanity? Peace be with you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak under public comments this evening?
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to start off, and I want to hope I maintain myself. We all start out as we have a constitution that says we all are equal. And as the gentleman before me said, the weak. Many of us do go home and don't care about certain communities. We all have to know what a level of insult, I'm gonna get straight to the point. We cannot keep insulting or embarrassing ourselves. Last meeting we had about this Rowell Avenue situation, the chairman said it was once a trucking site. What's the difference? Councilman tonight spoke about the improvement of Tony's on the west side. So what you just said, too, we already know what predominantly race is on the east side. You just said no improvements, but let's build a Tony's. They got 2 Jewels, 2 Walmarts on the west side. What else do y'all want to put on the west side that you're not going to put on the east side? If any of you have a heart and y'all say we all are equal, show me the equalness on the east side as opposed to the west side. They got 8 baseball fields over there and a football stadium. What do the east side have? You think we all just play basketball? If you guys don't quit insulting, then when people hit the streets, then you guys go, oh my God. Because you are putting levels of insult. You are steady building on the west side and omitting the east side. It was asked a question to you, Mayor, about this Rowell situation, and you gave the response, you was not aware. I want you to know, and any other councilman, I will pick one out, but I'm not. If you are ever giving that answer to someone, and someone of your councils, remember, never informed you, then they felt you didn't need to know, you're not important to tell you, or it's like Robert De Niro said in the movie, either you're too stupid to have this job, or you're in on the take. There's no way in the world something should be built in your city, and you're not aware of it. Then they say, we ain't got to tell them anything. How can you ever give that answer? Any councilman on this, you can never, ever give that answer. Because that means you are not aware of what's going on in your community.
Normally I don't engage. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
What?
The Rowell trucking situation, what we just spoke about tonight, we asked you, were you aware of that? You said you had no knowledge of that was being done.
Well, it just got approved tonight, so nothing's been done.
Approved? You had no idea it was even coming?
It wasn't on the agenda yet.
Okay.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, we knew about it.
Okay.
And we're not even in this part of this council.
Yeah, I did not go to.
So how would we know and you don't know?
Well, like I asked the attorney earlier, I didn't know about the meeting, so I didn't go to the meeting like I did for the last one on Mills Road. So no, I wasn't aware of it until it got put on the agenda. And I spoke to people. Excuse me. And I spoke to people from your neighborhood about it.
Okay, so let me say this to you. I mean no disrespect, but if I were you, I would be enraged. Because if your people are supposed to report to you, that's exactly what they're supposed to do.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Betsy Sedgwick, East Side Neighborhood Council. Yes, we are saddened. We are disappointed because we keep asking for improvement on our side of the city. We're all residents of Joliet, all of us, taxpayers, where we're unincorporated or incorporated. We pay taxes over where we are. It's horrible. The traffic and we have the railroads. We have trucks. We can't go out to I can't get in my car and just go out and just, without traffic here, traffic there. I come on the west side to shop. I got to deal with traffic going home. If I go to New Lenox, I've got to deal with more traffic coming home. We are boxed into a little area, and it seems like nobody cares about us. And we keep asking for grocery stores. We keep asking for service. And that's the business that was there. It provided a service for the people over on that side. The disposal company. We could go there and call, and I used several times, many times, I've used this company because they provided a service. The things that are coming to Joliet on our side now do not provide a service for us. How is this trucking company, and I didn't bring my notes up, but they said at the zoning meeting that it was going to have like from 20 to 30 trucks parked there. And it's right in the notes. And they said they would have like no more than 5 trucks in and out a day. We just can't, we shouldn't have to deal with that. And I know New Lenox Road is going to be their main route because they get off on 80. When those trucks come down this narrow street, it's going to cause problems. And a question, was asked last night at the meeting about the weight of the trucks. Who are concerned about weights of a truck? It should have been asked, what are you going to do for the residents in this area? You have a business that's coming here. What are you going to do for these people to help them, to help improve their quality of life? We're being neglected. We really are. We're being neglected. And it's not fair because we're taxpayers just like everyone else. Why can't we get service over on our side of the city? Why are we always getting, things taken away from us? It's sad. It's just sad what keeps happening to us on the east side of Joliet. Yes, we are. We're disappointed. We're hurting because we just feel like we're not being helped. We're not being helped.
Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak?
Sorry it took so long to get up here. Council, Mayor, thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. I'd like to change the subject just for a minute. I'm here about the Rock Run Crossing. As a taxpayer, I'm quite concerned with the 760 density that the development is trying to put forth right now on that development. First of all, I think it's really wrong that school districts, that there's not a law in this state that would keep the school districts out of a TIF. They depend so much on property tax. And from talking to a couple council members, the promises of who's gonna actually occupy those apartments. It's been told that they said elderly, 1 or 2 people, 7.5 people are students per, or maybe that would come out of that development. But there's no agreement. There's nothing in writing that says so many students max can come off of this. It's a matter of trust. And I think without an agreement, that trust really doesn't stand up. I'm really hoping that the council takes this into consideration and looks at the density and doesn't go along with it. Before the casino came on, I really thought the developers were grabbing for straws to try to pay for some of their development cost. Because they can build those apartments quickly and get people in and get some of their money back. But it'll be on the backs of the 14 taxing bodies, but especially the high school, the grade school, the junior college. And I think this really needs to be addressed. This is very important. Can you imagine 23 years, if they had 500 students that came out of that, 23 years of students. And I bring up the grade school basically because I was raised through Troy, my kids were at Troy, and I also feel that for the taxpayers to pay for whatever number of kids would come out of that development for 23 years, that would be on the backs of all the taxpayers in those school districts. Nothing would come out of the developer or whatever. And I don't think sales tax really gets to the schools. So the city would get a lot of money out of the sales tax from things, but the property tax is the key. And I really hope you consider this when you make your decision. I wish more people would get up and say something. I talked to the editor of the Herald News. He said he doesn't have enough staff to make these meetings anymore. And I don't think the average Joe even realizes what's going on with this and the implication. I mean, I've called a lot of people, but what can one guy do? All you can do is try. The other thing is, I contacted everybody on this council except one. I had 2 responses. I left detailed messages multiple times. Well, one time and then a multiple message the second time. I had 2 people respond to my question. And I wasn't going to talk for 5 minutes maybe, but I just wanted to see what their opinion was. But I only had 2 council members call me back, or the mayor. And this is really important, and I'm not bashing you. You guys are really busy. But I just hope you look at this, and I hope you consider the school districts on this, because they will be affected the most. Park District can get along without it, you know, Will County, whatever, all the different districts. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Mayor. Sir, sir, there is a meeting regarding this tomorrow night at Joliet Junior College. Were you one of the residents that got a letter or no?
I actually knew about that meeting, and I was gonna go, and I was the one that found out that the meeting was canceled and let Sherry Reardon know that it was canceled. And so they were able to reschedule this with the school district and Sherry Reardon. And Sherry was the one that told me about that meeting to begin with. But unfortunately, it's my birthday tomorrow, and I won't be able to attend. But it's really important to me.
But you came here tonight, so we hear what
I'm trying to make the difference, and I did approach the school district too on the same way as I did you people tonight. And I have a lot of faith in you guys, I really do. You know, in the end, a lot of people really make the right decisions. And I hope you make this one. Thank you very much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Jewel Houston from the East Side Community Council. In regards to the trucking facility over there on Ryle Avenue, now, we've heard different statements and so forth, but has anyone ever given any consideration of the road condition that's going to happen over there? I understand it's an industrial area, but has anybody did any research as far as the additional weight that is going to be on those roads, that's going to affect those roads while children have to go through school buses to drive through there? Is anybody given any consideration whatsoever to that? People go to church over there. So what are you doing? You know, with the road condition, a cab on an 18-wheeler is twice the weight of a school bus or those garbage dump trucks that went through there. Now, has the city taken into consideration of some type of policing and whatever to make sure that when our children go through there on the school bus, or we go through there trying to get to church, that it's going to be a safe condition for us or not? You know, there is few little facts, you know. Okay, fine, it's an industrial area, but you have to take in consideration the damage that it's going to do to our roads that we have to travel on. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Sarah Broadnax, and I live on the east side of Joliet. I am very angry, and I look at your integrity and your character, and it says a lot about you. You don't care about us on the east side. God said, first God said it, and then Jesus said it. You're to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And then Jesus said, your neighbor's not the one that live next door to you. This is your neighbor. And as you sit on that council, God's going to judge you on how you judge us. And you're the mayor, and then the councilman at large. How many times have you traveled on the east side and went in and bought something out of a store? Can you find a store over there? Yeah, there's a few stores. And already, too, we're talking about trucks. Where I live, I have neighbors that have a truck that shouldn't be on the road there. And I've called downtown a couple of times and complained about it. So I'm very angry as I stand here. And I'm going to pray and ask God don't give y'all any rest about how you treat people on the east side. And the man said you don't care about the hungry and the poor. So it says a lot. And that makes me know when I vote, I'm going to decide on who I vote for. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello again, my council members, well, not mine, but city council members. As these people have been complaining, you know, and the one lady said about quality of life, you know, when this route thing just got approved tonight, you know, through experience, like what we're going through with Centerpoint with trucks that go the ways they're not supposed to go, as you brought up, Jan, and, you know, Betty brought up, you know, how are we supposed to report these trucks? You know, you gotta risk your life to hopefully drive faster and get around the front of the truck to get the plate number, get the truck number in order to call your company to tell you. And then if you call the company, are you gonna answer for them? And are you gonna return their calls when they ask you? Because I've done that millions of times out by me with the experience with Centerpoint trucks going the ways they're not supposed to go and illegal turns and that. And trust me, you don't get calls back. And it doesn't stop them from doing the wrong. But as far as quality of life here, now here's another truck terminal, now it's going up in a residential area. How many more do we need? You know, like the guy says, first starts out 10 to 15, now he says, oh, possibly 50 stalls. That means possibly 50 trucks are gonna be there. And coming in all types of hours, I guarantee you they'll be coming in all types of hours during the day and night, affecting everybody's sleeping patterns, like as if I'm happening out there with Centerpoint. And the trucks, you know, are not quiet, they're loud. I mean, I hear trucks all the way down at the end of my road here, turning the corners and revving up and turning the corners. No matter how far I'm going, I can hear these trucks. And believe me, they do disrupt your sleep and everything. And so, you know, as far as, you know, you keep saying about getting the trucks off the local roads, but I can't help being mad enough by this Hobo Road extension thing is sending the trucks down my road, 2 lanes and a 4-lane highway. You know, every time the trucks go by my house, my old 1863 house is rattling and shaking with these trucks. So how much more is my house gonna be able to stand up to it? And another thing, you know, Jim, last meeting we had, you said about the roads, the weeds being mowed, they have not been mowed around the roadsides. You said it's Joliet Township. I've talked to Joliet Township again. No, it's not Joliet Township. Once and for all, it is the city of Joliet's responsibility to mow those ugly weeds that Centerpoint had planted along Vetter Road. prairie grass, which is ugly weeds that people pay the weed killer to get off their properties, don't belong on roadsides. It's very ugly. A week and a half ago, I had a big 8 to 10 point buck jump right out right in front of me by my old neighbor's place on Better Road. I couldn't see him. Them weeds were so tall, I couldn't see this buck till he jumped right out in front of my Ram. And he would have rammed my Ram truck. And it wouldn't have been pretty. So the roadsides need to get mowed. I'm sorry, you know, Center Point should not have been allowed to plant that cheap crap there. But I only hope you guys can consider, you know, take people's quality of life instead of thinking that we need more trucks. Because now it's like one truck terminals, like I got coming up next to me, you know, gotta be a truck terminal. How close do you need to let these truck terminals come that people's living? You know, people ain't happy about it, I'll tell you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Seeing none, next is mayor and council comments.
Joe? Betty?
No, sir.
Caesar?
Yes, just, okay, pull up the minutes, or pull up the details here. Make sure I get the time right. But essentially, I'd just like to invite everybody to participate in our event at Bicentennial Park in just a couple of weeks. Tuesday, November 2nd, Joliet will be hosting, I believe this is the third year now, our event for Dia de los Muertos, which, you know, is a holiday rooted in Mexican culture and history and celebrated elsewhere in Latin America. But I invite anybody and everybody to attend, because really the purpose of this night is to take a moment to sort of remember all of our friends and family who are no longer with us. And I believe that's an experience that's sort of universal and transcends cultural boundaries, and it's something that we can all kind of appreciate and get behind. So it's gone very well in the years past, and again, I invite everybody to attend. That'll be Tuesday, November 2nd at Bicentennial Park. I believe we're starting at 6 p.m. So I don't think we will be able to make it because I believe we have a council meeting at the same time, but I invite everybody else to participate. So.
Larry? Yeah, I'm just gonna comment. I'm gonna have some concerns tonight with apartments, and we've had a number of apartment complexes that were proposed for District 1 that were not allowed to go forward. I don't like empty promises. There is no 500, 700, 1,000 unit apartment complex that's gonna bring in 7 people. That's not true. I live in Plainfield Township, or Plainfield School District, and I know the staff, the former and the current superintendent is friends, and I sat and talked to them. Their rule of thumb is, and they say it's fairly accurate, plus or minus 15%. 1.1 student per unit is the average for an apartment complex. So, you know, we have an ordinance for density, and we need to follow that ordinance for density. So I want to let these folks know that I hear them and I know what the truth is.
Terry?
I have nothing, yeah.
Pat? Jan?
Yes, I have a couple things. Ladies and gentlemen both, this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and men say what? Well, men, it's 1 in 100 men also get breast cancer. So ladies, get your mammograms, do your exams, and men, give yourselves an exam as well. And if you find anything, no matter how tiny it is, just go to your doctor and get it checked out. Number 2, beware of tow trucks in residential areas that are taking a car out of a driveway. It just happened yesterday in broad daylight in one of the neighborhoods. Tow truck backed up, took the car away, and the neighbor didn't say anything because they just assumed it was being picked up for maintenance. And unfortunately, the car is gone and the neighbor can't find it. And lastly, there's a historic presentation at the Joliet Museum. It's being presented by Mary Beth Gannon, one of the local historians, on Sunday, October 30th, from 1 to 3. And it's called Things That Go Bump in the Night. And it's to listen to some of Joliet's best ghost stories, folk tales, mysteries of the unknown, And it's at the Joliet Historical Museum on October 30th. Again, she asked me to present this to you all. And on that note, I wish you stay safe. Don't forget Happy Halloween, and the hours are 4 to 7 this year. Thank you.
Sherry?
I'm gonna go light. Happy birthday tomorrow to Mr. McFarland and to Kevin Singh from our finance department. And my very good friend Debbie Radokovich on Thursday. So happy birthday to all of you.
Shall we sing?
Yeah, kumbaya.
Thank you. I got a few items. October 6th, I was at Senior Services to kick off the snow shoveling program for seniors and for people with disabilities. This has been a great local success, and I know, Jim, every year I'm asking city managers if we can find a way to expand that program, because unfortunately, there are seniors or people with disabilities that are not able to get into it. It fills up too quickly. But I would encourage any resident, if you're a senior or if your parents are here, to try to sign up for this program and take advantage of it. And again, if we could continue to look for a way to expand it, that would be great.
Right. You know, Mayor, we're trying to get the people that are really here. A lot of folks, unfortunately, some people have went to Florida and signed up for this program where they're not even here during this time frame, and that could have been, money could have been used to people who actually live here during the winter months. So there's a form that everybody needs to fill out. Make sure that you do that, and we'll try to accommodate you as best as we can. We'd love to have everybody in the city that with a disability be able to have that program.
Very good. Thank you. And thank you to Christy McNichol from staff, who's helping facilitate this year, and the people at Senior Services. Initially, this was all being run by the city, so they have stepped up and taken an ownership role in this, and it's a great collaboration. So thank you. October 7th, there was a ribbon cutting at the Park District at Inwood. The field is now named Busey Bank Field. I want to thank Busey Bank for their investment here in Joliet. On the 11th, myself and city staff, Allison, we met with several federal representatives and took a tour of the West Side Wastewater Oxstable Treatment Center. It was great to see that spotlighted or highlighted what we're doing out here with Joliet in the water. Of course, we were able to bring more attention to the water project that we have in Joliet and to the sources of funding that we're looking for from both the federal and the state levels. So thank you to all our reps that were here that day to conduct that press conference with us. On the 12th and the 13th last week was Witches Night Out at the Jacob Henry Mansion. That's become a great annual tradition. I was there on the first night. It was sold out. I think it was sold out also on the second night. So thank you to the people who participated with that and keep that going in our city. Last weekend on Saturday and Sunday, there was the Fall Food Fest at the Greek Orthodox Church on Broadway Street. I went there on Sunday with food, had dinner with my family. The food was outstanding. Congratulations. I hope they do that again more than once a year. It was a great, great meal. Last night after the pre-council meeting, I was invited. The Safe Suburbs group had an event at Heroes and Legends. Myself, our state's attorney, Jim Glasgow, and several other elected officials were there to speak out about the Safety Act, to give accurate information about what this entails and the dangers that our community and all communities in Illinois are going to face with this. Mr. Glasgow reported his lawsuit. He now has 60 other state's attorneys in Illinois that have joined him in that lawsuit. And hearing the legal breakdown of their arguments, he feels that his chances are very, very, very prosperous chance, or very, very good chance that they will be able to stop this from being implemented. And so certainly we'll be watching that moving forward. I spoke out about the concerns we have here locally. Chief Evans, I know you were there. You've also spoken about the concerns that other police chiefs have. This will not make the city of Joliet or our residents safer. I've been thanked a lot by other communities for the stance this council took 2 weeks ago. I think it's important that we underline that one of the primary goals of government is to keep its people safe. Protect people and protect property. So again, I want to thank State's Attorney Glasgow for the leadership role he's taken in opposing this. And then finally, this morning, University of St. Francis had their Ambassador Day. They gave the State of the University, Dr. Arvid Johnson, put their presentation on. Again, great news coming from the University of St. Francis, as it has been every year. But I do want to thank them for putting it on. It's a great presentation. If the council's interested, I would like to invite Dr. Johnson to give that briefly at the beginning of one of our meetings or at a committee meeting, just with the idea that it is not the only college, but it is the only four-year college here in Joliet.
It's a university, yes.
Yes, and the great job that they're doing. I think it's information. I'd love to have the public here.
I will absolutely reach out to the good doctor and see if we can't get him down here and give us a 10-minute presentation.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I had then for tonight.
I did receive a request for closed session. Is there a motion to go into closed session to discuss personnel, collective bargaining, land acquisition, or conveyance pending or threatened litigation, after which the meeting will be adjourned?
So move.
Second.
Been motion seconded to approve. Councilman Hug.
Aye?
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Mudrin.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Reardon.
Aye.
Councilman Clement.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gavin.
Aye.
Councilman Guerrero.
Aye.
Motion carries.